Hello everybody, it's Kate Kalthoff and we're doing a Make It Monday Facebook Live and we've had a little change of plans. I know I advertised that we were going to do this really pretty Pleasant Pheasants card. However, the stamp set that I was going to use for this I borrowed to somebody and did not realize that I didn't have my backup stamp set with me because I usually purchase two when I do big events. And so therefore I am unable to do that card because I do not have the stamp set in the house and did not realize that until about 15 minutes ago. So I was like scrambling trying to figure out what we could put together here for a Make It Monday. So we are going to do a different card today, and trust me, it's probably just as pretty. It could be easily turned into a Thanksgiving card if you tuned in expecting to see a Thanksgiving card. And then I will do the really pretty Pleasant Pheasant card on my Fab Friday coming up this Friday. So again, sorry about the change of plans, but it kind of took me by surprise too. I was a little flustered, to say the least, when I figured out 15 minutes before I was going to go live that I didn't even have the stamp set in the house. So let me show you the card that we're not making. This is the card we're not making. This is the card I planned on making, and we're not going to make it now because I don't have the stamp set in the house. So I am going to move beyond the disappointment, and we are going to make a different card. And the other card that we're going to make is this one. And it is also just gorgeous, and it could easily be turned into a Thanksgiving card. However, we're going to make it as a birthday card. We're going to use the sentiments out of the Varied Vases because I love the font on that. And then this is what the inside panel looks like, which is also just so pretty. And I have to show you too what happened to me, because this is the one I designed at home, and then you know, we make a lot of samples, and so when I went off to make the samples, I was at the campground this summer, or I guess it was really early fall, and I forgot my re-inkers. So can you see the difference between the two? That's why when I have customers who purchase an ink pad from me, I always recommend that they get a re-inker because you can see the difference. Sometimes you really do need to re-ink your ink pads in order to get this really pretty vibrant color. Now I did have some customers tell me that they actually preferred the more subtle looking one that you would get with your ink pads not re-inked as deeply. So it's kind of up to you. So if you like the more subtle one, then just maybe don't re-ink your ink pads. But this is the one that's done with very well inked ink pads. All right, so let's go ahead and start working with this card. So you need crumb cake paper that is 4 1/4 by 11 inches, and then you're going to score it at 5 1/2. So I don't have a 5 1/2 thing here, but you'll just have to hopefully hear me and remember that. It's your basic piece of paper cut in half the long ways and then folded in half. So that is our card base. Then what I like to do is I like to take a bone folder and just give that a good press so that it lies down flat for us while we're working with it. The next thing that we're going to need is our inside panel. And the inside panel, it is 4 by 5 1/4. Like I said, I'm a little discombobulated because I had to change everything last second. But this is your standard card panel that is 1/4 inch smaller than your inside panel of your card, or you know, it's even easier to see it here, the outside panel of your card. So we are going to go ahead and do our stamping on this first because I like just finishing up the inside and getting that out of the way. So we're going to be using a Stampin' mat because we are using photopolymer stamps. So we're going to use crushed curry for our flower. And I'm going to ink that up. And we're going to stamp this in the upper right. So we're going to stamp that once, and then we're going to turn it so that it's not going to stamp the exact same way, and stamp that twice. And you know what? I don't even, oh yeah, this is crushed curry. It almost looks a little bit like So Saffron, but it's crushed curry. So then we're going to take our, this is our Cajun Craze. We're going to ink that up, and we're just going to pop this right over the top. Now remember, these flowers are whimsical, so there's no reason to get stressed out about how they look when you're doing it, because they never look that good while you're doing it. But then once it's all done, it looks beautiful and you're all happy with it. So you just have to persevere and get to the end of the card and you'll like the results, I promise. So now, I never even showed you, but I have to show you the stamp sets we're using. So this is Painted Harvest, and on the right here we have Varied Vases. So this one is from last fall, and they carried it over into the new catalog, and then this debuted with the annual catalog back in June. And so this one comes with a coordinating punch that you can get as a bundle to punch out all these pretty little floral pieces and also the vases. And then this one has a coordinating punch, but it needs to be purchased separately. It's not a bundle anymore. So we're not actually using any punches today. We're just going out and just using all the stamp sets kind of plain Jane. But the card is very beautiful. So here we go, hoping your day blooms with happiness, and we are stamping that in soft suede. We also stamped the center of the flower in soft suede. I think I failed to mention that. So our inside panel is done. Isn't it beautiful? And we're just going to add a little snail to the back of this panel. We're going to set it right here on the inside panel and get that out of the way so we don't have to worry about getting an ink pad in it or whatever. Then we're going to close this up, and the next layer is going to be some soft suede. So this is 4 by 5 1/4, and for those of you that are wondering, that panel, that very vanilla panel, was also 4 by 5 1/4. That's why I couldn't find this. It was already on my soft suede panel. So for this one, we can just go ahead and take our multi-purpose liquid glue, and we're just going to make a layer on the front of our crumb cake card. So this card, even though it doesn't have a lot of punches, it doesn't use the big shot machine, it does have a lot of layers. And I love doing layers on my card because it's pretty much just straight cutting and it looks so beautiful. So I'm going to set this aside now, and now we are going to grab this panel of Old Olive, and that is 3 3/4 inches by 5 inches, and that's going to be the next layer going on our card. And we're going to stamp that tone on tone, and that means we're going to take Old Olive ink and we're going to stamp it on Old Olive paper. So we're just going to randomly stamp some of these leaves all around the outside. We don't need to worry about getting it way up on the inside because nobody's going to see that part, because there's going to be another couple layers yet over the top of this. So now we're going to just take this, we're going to flip it over, and we're going to add a little multi-purpose glue to the back, and this is just going to be layered right over the top of that soft suede. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is find our very vanilla panel, which is right here, and we're going to do some more stamping with this. And again, I'm going to use my Stampin' mat, because whenever we're using photopolymer, oftentimes you can get a little bit better of an image if you stamp on a Stampin' mat. So we're going to take this with our little grid paper here, and by the way, the grid paper, if you cut it in half and then cut it in half again, so you just cut it, you know, along those kind of more bolder lines, you get pieces of paper that fit perfectly onto your Stampin' Pierce mat. So that's something that, you know, if you have some of the grid paper and you want to cut it down to fit, it's just easy to follow those grid lines, and there you go. It fits quite nicely over the top of your Stampin' mat. So now we're going to take the crushed curry again. We're going to take this big flower here, and we're going to do some stamping again. So we're going to go for the more whimsical look, but we want it sort of filled in really nicely. So we're just going to double stamp all of these pieces. So as you can see, I'm stamping off, I'm turning it around, I'm just kind of working it here. So we are going for the whimsical look. So that is one of the things I love about this stamp set, is you almost cannot goof it up. It's just, easy to make beautiful, beautiful, whimsical looking sunflowers. So now I'm taking the Cajun Craze and we're just going to stamp over the top of each one. See, look how off that is, but it isn't going to matter because it's still going to look really pretty once it's all done. And we're going to add one more right here. Then we come in with our center of our flowers and we're going to use the soft suede. And we're going to set this in right over the top. See, look how nicely that turned out. And you didn't think it was going to look good, did you? So there we go. So now we have all those stamped and they look just lovely. This is a 1/2 inch by 2.5 inches and it's crumb cake. And we're just going to stamp happy birthday wishes on it. Or actually it just says birthday wishes. Now I'm looking for that stamp. Here it is. So I'm inking it up. Again, we're going to grab the Stampin' mat because I don't want to mess it up now that I'm this far into it. And we're just going to stamp it right over here off to the right. And that looks pretty good. I mean, it's not like perfect. Let's see if I can get it a little more perfect. I'm going to ink this up, flip it around. It's hard to do this because the camera's a little bit in the way. So I'm going to stamp it again. Oh yeah, I like that one better. So we're going to go with that one. Then what we're going to do is we're going to take our scissors and we're going to make a little pennant flag. So to do that, what I do is I just, actually I'm going to cut a little of this off. It's a little bit too long. Okay, so I'm just going to, what I do is I just make a little cut in the very center and then I just bring it in from the left and bring it in from the right. And you have something that looks like a little pennant. So now we're going to take this and we're going to set it right here, just like that. So let me get my glue. I'm going to glue this down and we'll set this in like this. That looks pretty good. I'm going to move it right about there. Okay, now what we can do is go back and put this onto a panel of Cajun Craze. So this is 3 1/4 by 4 1/2. We're going to use some snail here to put it on. And now we're going to set it just like this. Flip it over and we'll burnish it down. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to use this little metallic clip. It's our galvanized metallic clip. And we are going to take that braided trim that I was talking about. And we are going to measure out about 12 inches. So we want a kind of a big loopy bow on this because it's going to make it look extra pretty. So I'm going to set this in here. Oh no, let's see. Let me get this in here a little better. There we go. So I'm just pushing it into this galvanized clip. And then we're gonna clip it onto our card. So I'm gonna bring it in here and I'm kind of going just on the vanilla panel. So I'll push that in. So all I did was I clipped it to the vanilla panel, but I'm keeping it even with the, what's this panel here? The Cajun Craze panel. So now we can go ahead and we'll just tie that into a nice loopy bow. So here we go. And that looks really pretty. This is wonderful trim to work with. If you haven't tried it, I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. I really hope Stampin' Up! Keeps it because it's a little more substantial than our linen thread. The linen thread is nice. It has a real delicate look to it, but I like this just because I can get my fingers on it a little better. It's a little easier for me to work with, and I think my customers feel the same exact way. So here it is. Now we just need to layer it up. So let me flip this over and we'll add some dimensionals to the back. So all I did was I added 5 dimensionals to the back. I'm going to set this right here. And we have just a gorgeous, gorgeous card for a birthday using the Painted Harvest set. And when you open it up, it looks like this. So here's the one I just did, and here's a couple that I did in advance. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining me. I truly appreciate it, and I'll see you on Friday with the pheasant card, I promise. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.